Every once in a while, we come into these podcasts with a really solid game plan for what to do. And other days, we just completely wing it. This is definitely one of those days where we're going to totally freestyle and just see what happens. Have some fun while we do. Maybe have some fun while crashing and burning. Stick around for a wild and different episode of the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast.
Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we hear and learn from our coaches, CrossFitters, and Glen Ed community leaders. Now, here are your hosts, Dallas and Greg.
All right, everybody, welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we do get to learn occasionally from our CFE coaches, occasionally talk with some of our CFE CrossFitters in the community, and occasionally we talk with some of the business owners in the Glen Ed area to learn about the characters. But occasionally we do conversations like this. And
occasionally we bring no value to the table whatsoever.
Occasionally
you will learn absolutely nothing.
That's right. That's right. That's like literally learning nothing in a figurative way. So, G, you, as we were talking about ideas of what to talk about, you just said you had a list of hypotheticals that you wanted to toss at me and hear my thoughts on it.
Yeah. So the idea here is just different scenarios to see what would Dallas do. And we can both share our perspective on this. But here's the first one that came to mind for me. So let's say, Dallas, you're given the opportunity. You just learned that time travel is actually possible. And you have two options to choose from. You can only choose one.
Okay.
The first option, Dallas, you can go back in time and you can change any event in history. You can go back and you can meddle with the past. You can intervene. Okay. You can step into the pages of history and get your best shot to make things change. You have one day to do that. Or you can go back in time for an entire week and spend a week in your choice of time period of history, but you can't change anything. You're essentially in meaningless observer or meaningless participant in that 1 week of history. Which one do you choose?
I would be a meaningless observer.
Why?
Easily. So when you asked me the first question of what if you could go back in one day and change anything, the go-to is change, something about Hitler, take Hitler out.
That is the go-to.
Like that's the low-hanging fruit of what would I do? Well, I'd be a hero and I would go and I would stop Hitler from all the atrocities that he committed.
Right.
Or
you would attempt to do so at least.
Or make an attempt to do so. However, I don't think I don't know that it would happen. I don't know that I could be successful in such a venture. So we'd see what that would look like. Or maybe all Hitler needed was for somebody to tell him that his art was good and that and maybe buy his first piece of art, and that would have set him on a different historical track.
Maybe he just needed a hug.
Maybe. I think though I would probably want to go and observe. I'd probably actually want to watch the historical occurrences around Jesus during the Passion Week.
Dude, great choice.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many other things too that you'd want to observe, but I think I'd want to be there in that moment and see that. But I actually think the history of humanity as it's unfolded has been a necessary journey through tragedy toward redemption. So I don't know that trying to change anything, the unintended consequences of, let's say, taking out a Hitler and instead Goebbels takes over, you never know, or Goring or one of these other leaders in the Nazi party, you don't know where else it would have gone worse. So that's a really weird sentence to say, but yeah, I think I would go and observe and take in history rather than try and change it. I'd rather change history moving forward from now.
I think I feel the same, and my answer is the same in terms of going back to spend a week and as an observer. But part of it is because I don't know that I feel comfortable taking the responsibility of changing all of history myself.
Right.
Like, you never really know.
You try and take out Oswald on the 6th floor only to be like, oh, there was a second gunman on the grassy knoll. crap.
All right. Or let's say like I want to go back and I want to be a hero on September 11th. I want to be the one to stop people from going into the building
Right.
to go to work that day so that there weren't so many deaths in the World Trade Centers. But I think if I actually put myself in that scenario and I was on the ground level telling people don't go into the building, it's gonna be a terrorist attack today. They're gonna fly a plane into the building.
Right.
Everyone's gonna look at you like you're a fucking lunatic. Like no one's
Sure.
gonna buy that story. Like
Sure.
no, for real. I'm from the future. I have it
Right.
on my like I can prove
Right.
this is going to happen. Yeah, right. Like there's not a Wall Street banker who's going to give me the time of day as they're running past to their job.
That's what I think. I think option one assumes that one person can make a big enough difference.
Yeah. And I think that one person can make a big difference, but I don't know if one person can go in one day. You have 24 hours.
Right.
Can you actually stop something from unfolding that was destined to be?
That exactly. I just don't think it's possible. So I would observe the unfolding of a great moment in history.
I love your choice of going to the time of Christ, the week of Easter, to
Yeah.
see Good Friday unfold, and then see Easter, and then be a part of that when the biggest news ever. Hey, that guy they crucified,
Right.
he's alive. Like we just saw him. I had breakfast with that dude on the beach this morning.
Exactly.
Like that would be incredible. I also thought like I had was to go back to Woodstock and actually watch all of that unfold as an observer. I feel like that'd be a less enriching experience.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It'd be a fun one.
What other hypothetical you got to throw at me here? I know you've got a list.
I got a list. All right. Well, let's see. What would you do if you learned that aliens were definitely real and that they were visiting Earth with increasing frequency, Dallas?
Well, funny enough, when COVID was at its height, and then they just randomly threw out, by the way, here's some video proof of UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was like, oh, don't pay any attention to that. We got to wear masks.
Right.
That was one of those, hey, everybody, wait. What did they just say? Can we go back to that news headline that got buried on page 6? If I found out that were true, I don't know that there's anything I would do other than try and learn more. It's kind of like big old political moves. I'm not part of the geopolitical game, and obviously something would be happening there. I think probably what it would be is that I would do my best to make sure that my family has what it needs to survive.
Mhm.
And I would focus my energies on, I don't know whether this is a hostile force or a friendly force.
You don't know that, right?
Right. So I would just make sure that we were prepared for anything that we would prepare for as many potentialities as we could.
Yeah, because I mean, this might be the definition of something that's out of your control.
Totally.
And in Scripture, it says that the Lord gave us dominion over all the animals, and I would have to think that if there was alien life that was commuting to planet Earth,
Right.
they clearly have some sort of technology that we don't have. They have some
Right.
abilities that we don't have. They know things that we don't know, which means that they are clearly like they supersede us in the food chain in some capacity here.
Right.
And so I would have to say that out of my control, nothing I can do about it. I'd probably keep living my life,
Right.
but I probably would invest a little bit more time into survivalist things. So just in the hypothetical that this is actually a hostile force and they're coming here because they want to conquer.
Right.
If this is actually Independence Day about to unfold, like,
right.
First of all, like I'm gonna sit back and enjoy my popcorn as the theater.
Right.
All
I
this
feel like that
unfolds.
would be the thing is you'd find out from the movie Signs, does water work on them?
Right.
And if it doesn't, then you'd go, we need to find some caves or something.
Are they advanced enough to know the first place you attack is the White House?
Right.
And if you're going to do that, does a superior intellectual being announce his arrival, coming in like extremely obvious and sending an enormous blast down the center of the White House?
Right.
Like, or do
Yeah.
they come in under the radar, very, very sneaky like what does a superior intellect do
I
if they want to conquer a world?
I would so I'm I don't know that I should put this on a recording. I'm gonna let this one go. We need to move on. We need to move on. I could go down the conspiracy hole really quickly, and everybody'd be like, dude, we're gonna see Dallas in a tinfoil hat soon. Let's just move along. Nothing to see here, folks.
All right. Let's see. See if I can find another one. There's a handful here. Some of them are definitely a bit more touchy subjects than others. What would you do if you were invisible to the human eye, Dallas, or you could choose to be invisible to the human eye?
Oh boy. I would try and get into the rooms where it happens. I'd try
You
and
mean like
I'd try
the
and sit in
decision room, what do
the
they call that?
decision rooms. I'd try and sit in the war rooms. I would
The
try and
war
sit in the
rooms.
Oval Office.
Yeah.
I'd want to be a fly on the wall for some of those conversations.
I feel like that was where you might gain truly useful insight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or oh God, this is my conspiracy theorist coming out. Or I'd want to learn. I'd want to know who the trendsetters are in the market so that I could learn where they're investing, and I could
Oh
make
yeah.
the same moves.
You know,
That
I talked to
sounds so
somebody.
greedy, but it's also just terribly that's where my mind went.
You know, in the scenario about the time machine, somebody I talked to had proposed that you could go back to, 2002 and be one of the early investors in Bitcoin. And by the
Exactly.
time you fast forward to 2022, you're a Bitcoin multimillionaire. And in theory, then you can just coast on the.
So that's where some of my brain went to. It was like Hitler first and then big investment strategy. I would have gone back and bought into like the IPO of Apple or
Right.
I
Or Zoom in 2019.
right. I mean, there's all those moments. I don't know that I would have jumped in the crypto game. I probably would have jumped in early Apple, early Microsoft, early Google,
Yeah.
or heck, I would have been there shaking his name, Jeff Bezos's hand, being like, "Hey man, what do you need? $1,000?
Yeah.
5,000? What can I get you here, pal?"
Yeah, exactly.
50% owner. Tell me what it takes, Mr. Bezos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'd probably again, I'm an information consumer, so I'd probably use the invisibility power to learn stuff that would be quote unquote secret.
I wonder, and this is like a real question, like I wonder how easy or difficult it would be to actually infiltrate the White House if you were invisible. You know what I mean? I bet it's easier said than done.
If you're invisible, okay. We just would like to say to the NSA right now, as you're listening, this is not an actual plan because this is a hypothetical. If you're only invisible to the naked human eye, then I would assume you'd be showing up on infrared stuff.
Like heat maps and things.
Right. So I would assume you wouldn't be able to get in that easily. Now, if it were just like true invisibility where I could just move into whatever, I think you'd just follow someone in. When the gates open, you'd walk right past. But
walk super close behind them.
Exactly. But if there's heat mapping and all of that, and it's just
and dogs can smell. Maybe dogs can smell you. If the dogs can smell you, you could be totally screwed just the same.
The other thing I would do is I would maybe play pranks on people and just freak them out like there's a ghost in the room. I'd like randomly poltergeist something and just make this pencil float right in front of them.
Interesting. Like your first plan is to make it into the war room at the White House and learn useful information, and your second plan is to punk your kids.
Look, there's not. I'm on either one end of the spectrum or the other here, G.
Yeah.
You got another one for me? We
Well,
got time. We got time for one more. I feel like
let's
Johnny
do-
Carson. Do we have
let's do-
time for one more? Do we? All right. We got one more here for you. That's the worst Johnny Carson impression ever.
What I want to ask is what you would do if you could change or introduce one law, but I feel like that is way too big of a conversation.
No.
For 1
I
minute.
can tell you exactly what it would be.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. What would it be? You could change or introduce one law, Dallas. 3, 2, 1, go.
Single item bills from Congress. You cannot introduce any law to be signed off on that's got more than one issue. There's no reason why it should be more than a page or two. Get rid of all the pork, get rid of all the fat in all of the other bills and all the other garbage that they try and stuff in.
And
one issue, one bill. That's it. That would be the law I'd put on the book.
Hidden subtext of things. Yep. No more Patriot Acts. No more just more thousands of pages that cannot be read.
Who was the congressperson, a couple of years ago that said, well, we have to pass the bill to know what's in the bill? No, you need to have a 1-page bill. Let's all go back to Schoolhouse Rocks and learn I'm a bill. I can't, let's all go back and just learn what that is. It should be a single issue. That would be it. That's an easy one for me.
All right.
After that, I would probably take the money out of government, like no more, get rid of special interest. And if I were to give it a third, it would be limits on terms, and that Congress can't pass any laws that they themselves are not subject to.
Interesting.
Everybody's hearing all of my libertarian views come out right now.
That's allowed. No filters here. Well, in the interest of keeping things simple, like a single issue bill, we got to keep our time together here simple. I had some fun in this conversation, our scenarios.
If you gained any value from this.
Hopefully you guys
actually, just a thought here. I do think that in our conversations with our CrossFit community members, we should introduce a hypothetical to them.
Sure.
I think that would be a fun little thing to add to the agenda of conversation.
So we could ask our CrossFitter about aliens or single issue bills.
Yeah, or any of it. I know you've got more sensitive ones there, so it could be fun to get a little heat going on some of them.
Yeah. All right. I'll ask about if you're on the elevator with a pregnant woman who starts going into birth, what would you do? I'll address that one next time on the CrossFit Community Podcast.
You know what I would tell people? I would say, well, this is going to be a championship day.
Yeah. Dallas, thank you. To all of our audience, thank you. Give us a shout at CrossFitIsrael.com. No sweat intro if you want to learn more about your CrossFitter journey. Like Dallas said, guys, have yourselves a championship day.